Hi, I'm Steve Merriman, President of Clergy Advantage. A lot of people ask, how did I become a national expert in the area of clergy housing allowance exclusions? Well, it started back in 1976. My father-in-law is a longtime minister, and while going to accounting school, I wanted to impress him with clergy tax issues that I researched, and as a result of that, he started referring clients to me, and 37 years later, here we are with 4,000 clients in all 50 states and numerous countries abroad. One of my early clients back in 1979 was Rick Warren. I kind of jokingly say that I worked with Rick Warren before he became Rick Warren. Well, then right around the year 2000 or so, he got audited. Really, it had to do more with charitable contributions because he's such a huge charitable giver. But it resulted in some interesting, unique housing allowance issues that had really never been tested, and there really wasn't much guidance on it. And since we work with ministers in all 50 states, we get to see how the IRS in different regions handles different things, and back then there was really not a lot of consistency on a number of key housing allowance issues. Rick Warren, when he kind of learned about this, he is such a advocate of ministers that are kind of in the trenches, and he was concerned that maybe a lot of ministers did not have adequate representation. Perhaps they might get bullied by an IRS agent in their region. So he was kind enough to take 8 housing allowance issues that really had not previously had IRS guidance, and he took those to U.S. tax court, not to save taxes for himself, but to have clear guidelines of how these 8 issues should work. And by the way, many of these 8 issues and the resulting tax court case is how we came up with many of the strategies that we use here at Clergy Advantage. For example, our 403B retirement program was really born from the massive amount of research that it took for this U.S. tax court case. This tax court case was a resounding victory at the tax court level, but the IRS appealed it. It went to the Ninth Circuit Court of Appeals. From there, the House of Representatives introduced legislation called the Clergy Housing Allowance Clarification Act of 2002. And would you believe that all 425 U.S. congressmen unanimously voted for the Clergy Housing Allowance Clarification Act? And then it went to the U.S. Senate, and they, within a record 45-day period, they unanimously endorsed the clergy housing allowance. And the result of that is that not one congressman or one senator was willing to go on record in opposition of the clergy housing allowance. It then went to the president's desk, and President George Bush at that time signed it into legislation, and that effectively ended the Ninth Circuit Court of Appeals. Well, I just kind of summarized in about 2 minutes 4 years of my life, and during that 4 years I made it my goal to research every single thing that had ever been written about the housing allowance in congressional committees and court cases and private letter rulings and IRS technical memorandum, all of those things. And the result of that 4 years, at many times it was extremely stressful going through that, but the result of that is that we have developed many strategies that can greatly benefit you.